All right, starting positions have been raining down upon us like crazy from Creative Assembly. Every day on their Twitter, they've been dropping a new set of starting positions per the race, I guess you could say, of the faction or whatever. We've done Empire, we've already done the Chaos Demons, and then we now have Lizardmen, we now have Norsca, which didn't change, and now we have Kislev. So in this video today, we're going to go through those three new sets of starting positions. Tomorrow, so when I'm recording this is a Friday. This video is going to go live on a Saturday, and that's when we're going to get like the high elf starting positions and stuff like that. So I'll probably do these videos in batches of 3 and just kind of hit them as they're coming out. Or I might actually just do one on Sunday to go out on Monday, because that is a holiday here in the States, and that way people can have a little something to watch. So let's take a look here at what we've got. So this is the one for the Empire. We already know this one, and now this is the one for the Greater Demons. We already know this one. It's kind of a cool format they've done. So as they introduce new factions, races to talk about in their starting positions, they lower the opacity of the previous ones they've announced, which I actually think is really cool. It gives us a nice kind of clarity on where everything is on the map, good perspective. So we already know these sets of starting locations for the Demons and for Empire. Let's take a look now at the Lizardmen. So the Lizardmen start in some locations on the other screen on my right here. I've got the Twitter post that shows us where everything is. So Lord Mazdamundi stands over here at Hexawaddle, where he should full well be expected to be. Krokgar is over at the Golden Tower, which I think, well, I mean, if we look at the Immortal Empires map, right, it's a little bit different. You know, it doesn't kind of have this whole fleshed out Sea of Dread. It's a little bit more askew, and I think he stood a little bit further up this by the Straits of Nagash. So you could say this, I guess, might be a little further south. He might have actually been in this province, and I can't remember. And I apologize. I know I always say, like, I can't remember. I don't remember. There's so many goddamn starting positions that it's like it just kind of blows through my mind over time. But 10 and 1 is over here at Zlanzek. We have Tic-Tac-Toe over in Tlaqua, where he was. Gorok is in Itza. So for the most part, things haven't moved, but these last two, things get spicy. So Nakai the Wanderer is now at the Tower of Ashung, all the way over here in Cathay, which I think is sweet. You get a really cool way to have some Lizardmen in the starting location. For those people that played the Chaos Realms campaign and were able to work towards some alliances with the Dragon Isles and the generic Lizardmen faction that's there, they've already had some situations where they've done the allied contingents and allied situations, and they've had Lizardmen in their Cathayan armies, which is really cool. And now you get that as a pretty clear-cut opportunity here, with Nakai growing basically a Lizardmen faction in the southeast portion of Cathay up into the northern regions. Now, Warpstone Desert is where we would probably have Zhao Ming, and Gunpowder Road is probably where we have Miao Ying. And I would assume, or maybe Wastelands of Jinshan / Riverlands, this Zhao Ming could be in like one of these 3 locations instead, to kind of give a little bit more breathing room to Gunpowder Road. And I bet you will see Clan Eshin up here. And I think that they already said something about the Kraken Lord being Cathay or something like that. Someone made a comment about that, because I said, oh, it'd be cool if we had like the Kraken Lord in the Sea of Dread or something by Ind, which fits his lore. Someone had said, like, hey, no, they already mentioned he might be somewhere in Cathay. So that would make for a nice little compact, fun area for Cathay to kind of rabble-rouse around in. And I think that's pretty interesting. With the last character for the Lizardmen, we have Oxyotl, who starts in the Godless Crater down here in the Southern Chaos Wastes, playing into the lore that he's always had as this kind of character, this rogue character of the Lizardmen that fights against greater demons of chaos, right? This is a character that has gone into the realm of chaos and has come back like years ahead of time, right? He's kind of all over the fucking place. So it kind of fits that role of being in the Southern Chaos Wastes as a direct antithesis to chaos. And with this placement too, he already has a potential ally right across the Lustria Strait, which is nice, and he has a pretty poignant target right across the churning Gulf here in Dawn's Landing with Tzeentch. So a pretty clear-cut progression for him as he moves through the Southern Wastes. It's literally the province of the Southern Wastes into the Bishal Glacier. It's kind of cool to see, like, the Southern Chaos Wastes could be entirely dominated by Oxyotl. So that's kind of a cool little situation for him. Moving into Norsca, we get nothing cool or new. I mean, I wouldn't have expected anything different. I think until the possibility maybe of getting new Norscan Legendary Lords. They did say Norsca will be getting an Old World rework, and they did not mention or say if it would be coming with the Warriors of Chaos Old World rework, even though I think that would kind of be somewhat hand in hand, right? So I hope we do get some expansion to the Norscan Legendary Lords in some way, shape, or form. And it's kind of weird, right? Because you kind of look at the history or the lore of Norsca, and you look at Throg, who very clearly has a... not a place, but very clearly has a name in Norsca, right? You look at Wulfric the Wanderer, and obviously he is a Norscan. But Wulfric is kind of like, I guess the lore for majority of Chaos Champions is that they are Norscan. And I think that that's where you can have a lot of fun here. God, what was his name? I'm going to Google this right now in the middle of this conversation here. Herald of Archaon, I think was his title. Yeah, Vardek Krom. I would love to see Vardek Krom the Conqueror, as a possible maybe Norsca Legendary Lord. A lot of people have said... the guy whose name I shall not mention, who's on a chariot that Turin used to abuse me and our friendship, who I will never, ever forget. But that's a possibility for a Norsca Legendary Lord. I would just love to see an expansion to the Norscan Legendary Lord roster, because it is so bare bones now compared to so many other factions that have 4+ Legendary Lords. And it also gives an opportunity for you to have another starting location of... I think maybe the thing would be to rename them. So Norskins are a tribe, right? They are not like Norskins are in Norsca, and that's not a Skyrim reference. But there are many different types, right? You've got Kurgan, you've got all sorts of them. So rather than naming them just simply the Norscan faction, maybe giving them a more generic name that applies to the whole peoples, and then giving multiple different legendary lords within that. Some that could start over here on the Eastern Steppe that are, I think the Kurgan are over here more. I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically expand the Legendary Lord roster for the Norskins by adding non-Norscan, but of those same people, Legendary Lords, to kind of expand it and give it a little bit more character and flavor, right? Have something that has a little bit different of a step away from the typical kind of frostbite profile that we see applied to almost every Norscan thing, and give it something a little bit different. So just a little random side tiff of speculation there, because there's not much to talk about with Norsca. Like, yeah, I expected them to be there. They're there. Moving into our newest ones, though, we get Kislev. And Kostieltyn and Tsarina Katerin, I would expect them to both be in the locations that they are at. Katerin is over in Kislev, and Kostieltyn is in Erengrad. But Boris Bocha has moved to the Tower of Torment. Remember, he was down over here in Zoran Uzkul Blasted Wastes location, right by the Plain of Zar, as far as the Chaos Realms campaign is concerned, but now he has moved all the way into the northern Chaos Wastes, which I think is a pretty wild starting location for him. We don't know any other things that's going to be around here. Ogre Kingdoms, Greenskins, Dwarfs, any possible stuff that could kind of be around Boris Bocha just yet, but it does place him much closer to Kislev, which I think is very, very fun. If you look at this, I mean, he could start out, hop this the Frozen Sea, then get right into the Eastern Oblast very quickly. You probably can't see the cursor if you're watching on a phone, so I apologize. So just move south, and he's 2 provinces away from the Eastern Oblast, which I think then puts him in direct contention for actually uniting and confederating all of Kislev, which is something that it's kind of a pain when you're playing as the Chaos Realms campaign, and you really never get a chance to really unify Kislev as Boris Bocha. You have to okay, well, I got to go across the World's Edge Mountains. I got to fight my way there. It's not going to be easy. Peak Pass is a murder hole, and do whatever I'm going to do. This kind of actually creates a situation where you could do this very quickly in the first set of 10, 20, 50 turns, whatever the hell you want to do, of solidifying an actual foothold into Kislev proper. I mean, you could go right for the Cursed City as Boris Bocha, and actually have the Red Tsar already placed in one of the 3 critical cities of Kislev. So this shows us all of our new starting locations now for pretty much everyone that we have announced. Well, everyone we have announced. And I can see it's already starting to get pretty wild in the Southlands, right? Once we kind of pepper in the Tomb Kings, we put in, say, Emmerich, right? Emmerich had a Southland starting position. Well, had a Southland starting position in the Vortex campaign. In the Immortal Empires campaign, he had a starting location just right over here, right? The planet, I think it was Planet Bones. It's the expansion of these little guys over here, which is really, really cool, has kind of like thrown off my Immortal Empires knowledge of this location, because it's now expanded into different and more provinces and settlements within those locations, which is, I think, very, very fun, very cool. But nonetheless, this Southlands is going to be really spicy, because if you think about it, okay, Barrier Idols is right here, Marshes of Madness, Lands of the Dead, so we're going to have Tomb King right here, right? We're going to have Cetra, we're going to have Land of Assassins, Great Desert of Araby, so I assume we would have Ark in the Black over here. So that alone, just placing those two characters right there, that makes this location just very spicy. In this location, if you can't see, if you're watching on mobile, I'm circling the western jungles, Great Desert of Araby, Land of the Dead, this western portion of the Southlands. And we know that, well, we don't know, but Clan Moors is probably going to be placed down here too, if we look at this Mortal Empires placement. Although Clan Moors might actually get put further into the Darklands now, who knows? But still, I think that the Southlands is going to be wild. The Lustria Bowl is going to be insane. So I would like to see more of the Darklands utilized, but I'm wondering how much of that Darklands utilization is realistic until we get the Chaos Dwarf placement into the map. So go ahead and let me know what you're feeling about the current placement of Legendary Lords. Is there any Legendary Lord that's been placed so far that you're like, ah man, I really just don't like that location? Or is there any Legendary Lord that's yet to be placed that you really want to see in a location, maybe from a lore perspective, or like a, hey, you know, it'd just be really fun to play a campaign where, again, hypothetical, Emmerich starts in the Jade River Delta over here in Eastern Cathay, and I can finally make my Zhao Ming Emmerich superior dynasty. But go ahead and let me know what you're thinking in the comment section below. We got the High Elf one coming out tomorrow, I believe, and then I don't remember what's after that. The only one I care about is the High Elf one. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Don't forget to kind of be on the lookout for these. If you want to watch them, you can see on the Twitter the second they are updated. They're updated, I think, around 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 3 p.m. BST, so be on the lookout for those as they're updated on the Twitter. But again, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one, and take care.